literally felt the presence of God quite often, do you know what I mean? And I literally would look to God quite often.
What do you mean by you felt the presence of God?
I've always had trouble understanding.
In terms of...
That's what I want him to explain now. In terms of
content over everything! A reality of a hope and a message and a security in when I bow my head to pray, and I pray, not only does it center me, but I feel over my whole body, I feel like I'm relaxed, I'm calm. Yeah, he's good. Yeah, so like I feel like my whole body's calm, I'm relaxed now, and I understand now. And I'm being guided quite often, do you know what I mean? And there's been certain times in my life where I've done things off of instinct, have movements and so on and so forth. Not to say like God's here directing me or something like that, but I felt like there is a divine spirit.
So do you think you get your morality from God, or do you think you get it from you as a person, you experience in the world?
See, I believe that when God made humans, God, before he even made any book, he gave man a heart, and within heart, I believe he wrote truth on man's heart. So I believe every human being, regardless of who they are, have the truth in their heart. Now, a lot of religious people argue with me and say, no, that makes it subjective and so on and so forth. I don't think universal truths are subjective.
I'm going to ask, what does that even mean?
What does it mean? So, for example, when you're born, for example, you are born with primary motor things that you need to do, right? Sucking, grabbing, clinging, these types of things, right?
Instinctual innate things
you need to do. I would say amongst those innate feelings that you develop quite early on is incest is wrong, killing your own family is wrong, and murder in general is wrong. No one has to teach you these things.
Well, you think people inherently know that?
I believe so.
No, this is the argument I had last week, right? I won't say that it's right and wrong, these things, because if someone's killed off your family or someone's trying to kill your family, then you're going to class that murder back on them as being revenge. That's how you're going to class it.
Sure, but it depends.
So
what would you say, to go too press and to even to this point? You said everyone knows incest wrong. There are many couples around the world that
brother and sister.
Brother and sister, mother and son.
Many. There's 6 billion people in the world. When you say many, you're talking about a few
not compared
thousand.
to the room, but it's still people.
Yeah, I'm saying. So when we talk about this,
there's a significant. That's not. There's a significant amount of examples. Is I suppose what you're trying to say.
No, I agree.
Of people living that life,
and they would say it's right because they're not talking.
They say it's right.
So biologically it's wrong. It's biologically wrong, but psychologically to them it's right because love to them is right.
But I would say it's not a significant number to the population of the planet. I would say it's a very insignificant number, and I'd say that there's something gone wrong with these people, whatever it could have been, whether it was how they were raised, whether they were molested as children. There's many different issues that can play into
people who do
incestual relations and so on and so forth. When I was saying incestual, I'm talking your sister, brother, mother with child, father with child.
Have you looked at the examples of why people do these things?
Quite a lot of the time it's because there's molestation privacy in their family and so on.
Well, you got the Egyptians, that was nothing to do with molestation. That was to do with
you're talking about royal families, for example.
I'm just talking about any incest.
That's blood purity, and that comes to political.
You're on about like just private people just doing incest.
I'm saying those guys there knew what they were doing were wrong. Those pharaohs, those royal families who done it, knew what they was doing were wrong. Really? They was doing it because it's about combining power and keeping power within one family.
That's why they were doing it.
And to stop civil wars.
Incorporating power,
Of course.
So do you really think that they thought it was wrong though? Did they think it was wrong?
I get like the private people. Really, but
there's no way of knowing. Because they still kind of do it to this day, don't they, really? There's families that still do that shit to
brother and sister.
Not brother and sister.
Cousins.
Not brother and sister.
Yeah.
Cousins. First cousins, apparently, that's supposed to be still big in the Pakistani community.
Yeah, it's massive, yeah. It still happens
first cousins and shit.
It's a big problem, biologically.
Do they think it's wrong?
I mean, this is the thing, because when I talk about incest, I was talking directly.
Families encourage it, especially the ones that are very traditional. They would encourage it.
I think wrong and right
I think when you're talking about incest,
I think they're the wrong words.
I was talking about specifically direct family. Do you know what I mean? So I wasn't talking about the cousin stuff right there. There, I'm saying people might argue for that. I don't believe in those arguments, but people might argue for that. However, I think most people across the board, in all ages, even if you go back in the ages, would agree that brother and sister, mother and child, or father and child are wrong.
Or killing people for no reason, or stealing things from people. No, I get him where he's coming from in that respect. I still think that's based on your social experience. I don't think that there's anything outside the social experience that doesn't inform you and influence you to behave the way we behave.
I think it'll be very difficult for us to go back and prove what is nature and what is nurture, for
or
example.
to go to a tribal community that's completely separate to ours and work out how they same with masculinity and femininity. Like what the hell is a woman's been like? You got the transgenders, and you got a man who says I felt like a woman. What the hell does a woman feel like? How many women in this society are told to play with dolls? Are told to cook and clean? Are told that they must stay at home? How the hell do we know what a woman even is supposed to feel like? And how many women feel differently to each other? I don't know. I think they're gender constructs. But in terms of, I kind of agree with you in terms of the murder and the stealing. I think there's something I don't know. I don't think it's wrong or right.
I think God's given it to you.
We know that it wouldn't.
There you go.
To cause someone pain, we know that we wouldn't feel pain.
Hit it on the head. Yeah.
That's why.
It's not wrong or right.
Exactly.
I won't say wrong or right though.
I would agree with you, but that takes a certain level of understanding or of cognitive, of sitting down and thinking about it and saying, actually, I'm doing this, I don't want you to do bad to me, so I'm not going to do bad to you. However, I would argue,
that's basically enough for everyone to know though. I think every child
I would argue
at 5 years old understands that
do
shit.
this as well, exactly, innately.
Children actually go through that way. They'll take the toy off their brother and realise, and that child realises, oh shit.
Have you ever cried, or have you seen a parent cry in front of their baby or their child, and seen how their child responds and reacts to that?
Pass on the emotions.
Not just pass on emotion, but just say your mother is hurt and crying. And have you ever seen how a child comes to the mother and tries to comfort that mother and hug that mother and try and make it better?
Or our baby starts crying when a mother's crying. And she's holding the baby.
Definitely.
That kind of influential.
And I believe these things are, in my belief, like come with our heart. That's what, not necessarily our physical hearts. When God makes us, I believe, He puts in our essence of understanding. Do you know what I mean? So I believe you come in with that feeling, intuition, whatever you want to call it, that comes from God. And I think this is, for me, a sign of God.
So this is where I have to ask. I have to ask, because we're saying that just comes from experience or from the fact that you don't want it to happen to yourself. Does
a child know what it wants or what doesn't want to happen to itself?
Yeah, based on experience. Like a newborn baby.
A child learns that when it cries, it gets the attention.
Yeah, for sure. That's very primary.
Exactly,
but
then it grows as time goes on. So when they're a toddler, they know that if they do certain things, that
they'll get something back.
There's consequences.
But I'm saying very early on, there's very early, my little brother's just been born. There's very early movements that nobody teaches a child. The child just does themselves naturally when they see their own brother for the first time, and all these kinds of things. And nobody has to say anything to them. They just do it naturally as a board. So I'm saying, you saying it's being taught, but I'm saying if the child's never seen this before, where have they learned it from?
I don't know, I haven't seen any examples where a child hasn't seen it, because every child has been raised and held by a mother, because they have to until a certain age where they learn certain things, and then from there.
And those that don't have those experiences, where they don't have that social environment, they do end up thieving from people and killing people and doing that kind of shit. When your upbringing and your environment is poisoned and contaminated to that perspective. But what I want to ask you is, because we kind of have an understanding of how we think it is, what's your evidence for it being God?
For being God that has put all these innate things into us.
Yeah. First the existence.
Well, I mean, like I say, design, do you know what I mean? Like, if we're going by probability, I would say there's a much higher probability for design for these things than there is for coincidence. I would say, like I say, from the creation of the planet to the humans and all the animals that inhabit the planet, who almost seem so perfectly designed for it, even to the point of when humans start getting out of hand, the Earth finds a way to almost rebalance itself and get rid of us humans.
Okay, that sounds more like science, or more like evolution in science, though.
But
that doesn't necessarily prove or show that it's a God. And actually, we need to go back.
Is a creator.
But we need to go back to that original thing. What is your definition of a creator or a God?
Okay, for example, let's come back to that. Move that. So my definition of God or creator is the creator. I cannot define him specifically or her specifically or where it is specifically. Like I say, the creator in itself exists both inside, but majoritarily, I believe, outside of our planes of understanding of reality. I believe there was a beginning. I don't believe in an infinite timeline. I believe there was a point in which the universe was created. And I believe most scientists believe this too.
But did God exist before that?
This is, I think, I believe God exists. If the universe was created, then I'd say God had to exist.
No, do you know what though? But here's the flaw.
Yeah.
You can't really answer any questions because you just said you're basically saying God's unknowable.
Yeah,
you don't know
for sure.
God's unknowable. You don't know anything about
God. There's a higher
God.
probability for an unknowable God than there is for an accident. One second. Let me land, please. So I think there's a much higher possibility for a God that we do know, that's unknowable, than there is for an accidental explosion creating a perfectly working universe that has a beginning and is still expanding and contracting today. Do you know what I mean?
But we can't know a God that's unknowable.
If you don't understand the dynamics of your God and the parameters and the rules for it, how can you say it's more probable or less probable when you don't understand the entity itself? It's like saying it's like trying to explain science, physics, the laws of physics or the laws of gravity without understanding it, and then saying, well, I think it's more probable that gravity made this happen when you know nothing about gravity.
But we do that. That's science in general, to be fair.
No, science is based on observation and experiment.
Okay, yeah, for sure. But when we have scientific theories, it's based on observational theories and what you can observe. Do you understand?
Yes.
The observable.
But
so
you
can't observe things in science, like we can't observe gravity, we observe its effects. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So right now, I'm saying to you, what we have is creation. People walking around on this planet. So I'm saying to you that this is the effect of a God, of a creating being at the beginning.
But that's the question.
Not of an accident.
No, wait. How do you know that that's the effect of a God?
For sure. But I'm saying that's my belief. You are saying your belief
then
is
it
that.
ends there.
But one second, we're having a discussion about that psychology, isn't it? Because you're saying that your belief is that Earth came by accident.
No, I'm saying it's more. I'm saying it seems more likely to me.
And I'm saying it's more likely in the opposite direction.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And to put forward that, I have said it's more likely that a creator at the beginning of this process created it and started it than it is that it completely happened by accident.
You can't say that.
And I'm saying that it's more likely because if you look at most things that exist, there's a creation.
You can say you believe, you can't say it's more likely.
I believe it's more likely. That's what I said.
But when you say that it's unknowable and you don't know anything really about it, you cut yourself off.
The creator is what I'm saying. And when I say that, what I'm trying to explain to you is, here on the earth, we abide by certain laws and rules, which I don't believe the creator abides by. So gravity, having to breathe. Most living organisms have to have these specific things for them to be around, water and all this sort of stuff. I don't believe that the creator of the universe needed that. Hence, it couldn't be a creator if it needs all those things. So therefore, when I say it's unknowable in the terms of we cannot possibly know what it needs, how it survived on, or where it survived on. But what I do believe I do know is that there was a creator at the beginning of this process. And I believe I know that because it's either that or it all happened by accident, as the scientists give us.
What we all agree on is that we don't know what happened at that point. Or the only difference is that the creationists have personified it by saying, okay, well, God or this.
A creator.
But truth is, we don't actually know. But after that, that's always certain of. So at the same time, it's more likely that it's just happened by accident than someone.
Yeah, for sure. I don't argue against the idea of belief or the psychology. I mean, do you have a problem with belief? Is that
no, not at all.
So you're happy to believe things. Yeah. You don't have to know everything 100% of the time, all the time.
No, you don't. But if it's gonna affect answers to other questions later, then it's better to be a bit more sure about what it is there, or to say, you know, I'm not sure, so I can't answer those questions.
Yeah, for sure. I'd agree with that for sure. But in terms of, like, I feel like you have an issue with belief.
No, not at all.
No?
I
just feel like it's.
I don't have the issue with the fact that you believe. Yeah. But if you believe, that's all it is. So then you can't.
Yeah, I'm not going around to anyone.
If it's belief, it ends there. There's nothing more you can say other than I believe this. If that, what if? That's all you can say. You can only make them kind of statements.
Yeah, for sure.
When it comes to what's more probable and what's less probable, you can't make those comments because you only believe and you said you know.
Probability is about belief, though.
You've admitted you know nothing about what it is that you're dealing with.
Yeah, of course.
If I know nothing about mechanics and I say it's more probable that door goes in the boot. And you're saying to me, well, actually, the shape don't fit. The shape looks like it goes on the side there, but you're saying it's more probable that it goes somewhere else.
But, I mean,
based on belief.
The thing is there, but you just done something there. You just done something there. You conflated two things that I'm actually doing. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm saying to you that in my belief, in my paradigm, everything has a creator, and so therefore, I believe there has to be a creator at the beginning of that paradigm. Yeah. So therefore, it's not me saying I believe the car should go in the boot. It's me looking at the car objectively, seeing the shape of the door, seeing the shape that's missing, and saying no, that door fits in like a puzzle. Do you know what I mean? So for me, I would be able to, in that situation, say even without being a mechanic, it's more likely that this piece of the car fits onto that part of the door.
No, that's what we're saying. We're saying based on observation. We're saying based on evidence.
What evidence?
I think Evidence to a degree, because I think we all have faith to some degree about what the answer is there.
Yeah.
But I think it takes much less faith to say we don't know, because
We
you're
don't
making
know.
a claim. You're saying that is responsible. Where we're saying we don't know what's responsible.
And he's saying that he doesn't know what it
you're
is.
saying, I'm saying anyone who believes in it.
Well, no,
I'm making a very clear statement that I believe there is a God.
That's a big
responsible-
statement.
I believe there is a creator of the universe. I believe that creator is unknowable. Now, when I say unknowable, I am not meaning that we don't know that it's a creator. I believe right in saying
That's
the
where I got
creator
it.
is a creator. It created. I'm saying the laws that creator is bound by, the nature, everything about that creator, we don't know. Because we are bound by gravity, we're bound by time, we're bound by all these laws of physics. I'm saying this creator exists outside of all of these laws, and that's what makes that creator unknowable to us.
Some would say we're not bound by time and we're just not using our full potential.
Some would say that.
kind of
Some
stuff.
would say that. I mean,
some
you
would
know.
say we're at one with what we would consider, if you would consider energy as God or nature. Some would say we're at one with
Possibly.
that. This is why I feel that we must, because you could be right, but this is why I feel that people must define what God is first.
Yeah.
For example, my understanding so far of what
Go
God
ahead.
is just energy. That way I can equate it with, everything that's known in the universe
Yeah.
that we know of.
Yeah.
So I can say we're part of nature. I can say that me and you are one,
Yep.
right? And it also seems to tie in with what the ancient people of the whole globe, everywhere you go, they developed an understanding which was called astrotheology, which was to do with the science of nature and how you, as the first human or as a baby or whatever, you're trying to work out how does that tree grow? How does you eat food and it comes out the other end? How do all these things work? And the only way you can work it out is through observation and seeing things, and then later on people will attribute it, or if people don't know the answer, some people, rather than say I don't know, will say it's got to be a creator
But
God.
that's what I'm saying. That's when the claim is made. So when that claim is made, that takes a much bigger leap of faith than it does to say
Big,
I don't know,
a
'cause I just say, I
massive
don't
leap,
know.
yeah. Better people just say I don't know. But then you've got people who have incentives to lie about things because they want people to work for them. So they will say, well, do you know what? This dude in the sky did it, and guess what? This dude only speaks to me. If you want this thing doing, you need
That's
to
what we
come
talk
check
about
me.
before. That's the manipulation.
I
of
know,
the
I have to
manipulation.
like
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
definitely political manipulation all the time.
So,
within
like he
religion,
just said,
everywhere.
it's a big leap from going from your what you can see and sticking there and only evolve. That's what I try and do. I'm trying to evolve, taking ideas in, but I'm trying to move as far as I can see evidently. And even though I might like concepts and ideas, I'm not gonna take them as being gospel.
You can't.
So to speak. Past my own observations. Whereas people like yourself, no disrespect, seems you're taking a massive leap into probability, and like we discussed earlier, probability that
I would argue that
still
all
could
of us
work.
are doing this.
It still could be real, like you said.
I agree with that.
You know you're doing it, so why?
To a level.
So why believe in God?
Yeah, no, why? If you know that there's still options
A
or
risk
there's still
to believe in God.
Well, it's a risk, yeah. If you
Yeah.
know it's
Is there a
risk.
risk
This is
in
why I
believing
say
in
it's
God?
always safer to sit on the fence.
I'm not saying.
What's the risk for me to believe in God?
You might be wrong.
And what's the risk in that?
You've been wasting your time.
Yeah, you wasted your time.
And what's the risk in that?
What's the risk in wasting your time? You could
Well,
have
I
done
don't
other
think, I don't
stuff.
think it's
But
a
I'm
waste of
saying-
time if it provides you happiness,
Exactly. So
stability.
there we go. So if in my lifestyle,
Community.
it helps me live as
That's
a
an
better
if.
person.
That's an if, though.
Helps me
It
live
is,
the
it
lifestyle
is.
I want to
That's
live.
an if.
Helps me be a good person to my community and actually build up a community
Oh, if
around
you're
me.
doing all that, it's great.
What's the
Does
problem?
it help you live the life that you want to live, or does it limit you? Because there might be things that you.
But I mean, if I've
perspective, that
chosen
would
it,
depend
if
on
I've chosen it
perspective.
for myself,
Yeah, but you've chosen it based on the options that are
confines you
available.
were given.
For sure, for sure.
Confines.
And obviously, there's loads of things that I'd love to do that I can't really do for moralistic reasons.
for moralistic reasons.
The
Yeah, for
confines
sure.
of
So there
his
you go. But
beliefs.
you've already put a limit on yourself moralistically. My thing
I
is,
didn't put it on
No,
me.
but he's
You
saying
put
you
it
put
on
on
the
you.
society that I was born into. Put it
okay,
on me.
fair enough.
Or for
but
you, it would be your belief system.
not necessarily. Not necessarily. I believe that that your heart is the truth in the end of the day. So therefore, if I've disbelieved in my heart and I keep going around and telling people that I believe, I've already done the sin. So it doesn't make any sense. So therefore, if in my heart I truly don't believe that there's something out there that's a sin, but everyone in my religion telling me it's a sin, I have to go with what my heart says because I'm going to be judged on my heart regardless. Do you know what I mean? So I'm not here trying to. I don't know what it is you guys believe about my take on religion or whatever.
What is your
I'm
religion,
saying when I
sorry?
take on Islam, yeah, but when I take on my religion and I live with my life, it makes me a better person, helps me be a better person, and regardless of whether God's real or not, as you guys are trying to put across here, I don't believe I would change how I live my life, because I live my life in what I believe to be the best way, and I believe it's laid out in this theology. Now, going beyond that, what I would say to you guys are making a risk is, what if there is a God and you haven't believed? Then therefore you guys, I would say, are making a much bigger risk. But I'm not worried about that. And my question is, why would you be worried about my risk to my risk?
The risk is the same.
Okay, so it's the same. So why are you more worried about my risk than I am about yours?
I get where it's coming from.
Why are you more worried about my risk than I am about yours?
I was going to say, I get where it's coming from in terms of burning in hell forever. I get that respect.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, that doesn't even enter my mind at all. I don't go with my daily life and think, oh shit, I'm going to burn in hell for this.
Same here. But he's saying if.
At the same time, when people say to Johannes here, when people say to him things like, oh, that limits you, or does that make you worried? That's his perspective. That might help him. It might be limiting, but it might be guiding to him personally. So I don't really look at people's beliefs and say, okay, that's limiting, or that's stopping you, or what if you're wrong? That's your choice. That's your perspective. That's how you view the world on a daily basis. The way I view it is completely different.
I think in religion you're taught to be scared.
Some religions, but I think that's the way people teach.
I
don't believe.
I read the Quran.
Yeah, for sure.
I read the Quran. As well. Sometimes I was scared. I believe you read the Quran.
What's the most mentioned word in the Quran? One of them. Anyway.
If you
merciful.
God knows.
God is a merciful.
God is merciful.
The most merciful.
Yeah. So
therefore, most people take away from it.
Forever.
No, that's it. I think the mercy is there.
That's not mercy, man.
I mean,
mercy is giving you a blind.
Religion now.
If you don't follow,
we're going into religion now. I don't want to do that.
If you don't follow the instructions,
but I just want to
you will face painful torment.
I mean, if that's what you took from it, that's what you took from it. That's not what I've taken from my reading of the Quran.
It's his perspective when it comes down to reading.
Yeah, I read the Quran. My interpretation of the Quran was not, you do this or you're going to burn in hell. My interpretation of the Quran is that there is a God who created all man. There is only one God that created all man, and he is the most merciful. That is the main message I got from the Quran. Everything else, I believe
it says more than that.
It does say more than that. It does say more than
that. In that respect, then there's no consequences for us then. Because if we don't believe, that's our risk. God's all merciful. We ain't going to worry about nothing.
I didn't approach this conversation trying to tell you guys you're non-believers, you're going to burn in hell.
No, but you asked us, what do we think about the consequences if we're wrong?
No. You said that there's serious consequences for believing in religion, and I'm saying you seem more worried.
I didn't say serious for believing in it, but there are.
The point that was made was that if I'm following a religion, I'm going to be living my life a specific way that's going to be disadvantaged to me, and therefore, if I'm wrong about God, I would have limited myself in this way.
Can be.
And the point that I was making in reply was that equally, I can say the same thing about atheists. If there is a God, you've been living your life a specific way.
Do you know the problem with that, though?
But then what about all the other gods and all the other religions that I don't believe in as well? I'm only an atheist you're only one less atheist than me, because you're an atheist to all the other religions.
Not necessarily. I believe that there's only one God, one creator of all the.
But then there's people that will believe the same thing, but about another religion.
I believe that it's only one creator.
See, you're lucky as a modern Muslim, you're lucky that your religion or your beliefs don't restrict you in the same capacity that the Catholic Church has restricted, or even Islamic has restricted people historically in society for centuries.
Yeah, for sure.
Restricted women, restricted...
also liberated, let's talk about that as well. We talk about the negatives of religion, we don't always talk about the positives too.
That's true.
Yeah.
Religion... comparative to the limitations.
Depends how you look at it. It's subjective, isn't it?
No,
that's what we're saying.
In terms of freedom.
I would say historically, there's definitely been an issue of religion going into countries and there being restriction on people, basically, and they're being forced to do and believe and act in a certain way.
That's probably more leaders.
I would argue,
that's not based on religion,
that before
that's
coming of
based
certain
on
religions in some leaders. But before coming of certain religions in certain areas, so for example, within Islam, it's quite well known. Before the coming of Islam, women, girls, there was a high rate of female infanticide. If you had a daughter, you killed the child. Do you know what I mean? There's huge rates of abuse going on in this part area. And I'd argue, one second, bro, we're having a conversation here. Just be respectful in it, yeah. So I would argue that when Islam came around, female infanticide went down. Women's rights in the area went up. Now, would I say it was perfect? Would I say what happened after was perfect? Would I say the politics, and there was a lot of politics in it that isn't perfect. But I'd say I don't say that's the religion. I say that's the politics that came after. I say the religion came, and female empowerment was a factor of that. So I'd say that's one instance.
So you say
where
that
religion was a good thing.
Because the infanticide was dropped or decreased.
I mean, we're
Are you
given
saying there were
rights in the
there were
country.
other what we would call atrocities that didn't happen in
there was.
exchange?
There was.
So
I'm
it's
just saying that we can point to the bad things. We can also point to the good things as well. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I wouldn't
And I
blame
think
any of the
quite
good or
often-
bad on doesn't necessarily. I blame it on the people that were using
Yeah,
it
that
at
was
the
cool.
time.
So
I don't. So to talk about the wars and stuff that happened, or the genocides or whatever, it's not based on the religion. It's based on the people that were around at the time.
Yeah.
So
And we're getting very
hey,
deep.
now we're talking about religion too much. Now we're way too deep.
But I want to go back to the belief. Is there any question you want to ask about why I believe as a believer or anything like that? Or
I think, do you ever have doubts? Do you find that your faith is linear and that it's just constantly going up? Or do you find that you ever go back down?
Oh
and
no, I
become
believe
agnostic?
wave is a wave. I don't think I won't become agnostic or so on and so forth. But I always believe there's a creator. I was saying my faith goes up and down in terms of what is my purpose, why am I here,
What
when
if you
things
found
happen to me.
overwhelming evidence?
Overwhelming evidence, what? Either way.
Contrary to
Oh,
God's
contrary to
belief.
God, yeah, of course. If there's
your
overwhelming
mind?
evidence, yeah, for sure.
Because I know people that just would
But like
not.
I said earlier, it's your heart. Do you know what I mean? There's a lot of religious people out here who have fake hearts. They're going around, they say the words, la ilaha illallah, talking about, I believe there's only one God, all of this sort of stuff. But when it comes down to it, in their heart, they probably don't have that same feeling. And I say, I can only be honest with my heart. Do you know what I mean? So if in my heart, I am presenting something that makes me shake to my core, and I'm like, okay, maybe there is no God, I would have to stand up and say, you know what, there's no God. I couldn't stand here and pretend like, you know what.
You don't think it was the devil trying to shake your faith? Because that's a technique that's used a lot. It's like, whenever you're what's it called?
You have doubt
Your
and
faith.
stuff. Was-was, yeah.
Iman goes
Was-was,
down.
yeah.
Then that's the devil fucking with psyche, and that's a really clever technique I find to use. Because whenever you have doubts, and it's not
You
the
mean an
truth.
excuse?
It's not the truth, is there?
Yeah,
You mean an
It's the fact
excuse?
that
Yeah,
the
sure.
devil's there.
There's a lot of that.
That was a Christian excuse, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's
Before
what
that.
it's-
all of the people, all three Abrahamic religions, they use a very similar tactics. It's very interesting, to be fair. I'd agree that does seem to be a fail-safe. I'd argue with Mahdi Jabba, one of those guys, about that more. For me, I don't believe it's a fail-safe. I believe that there are times where I do have doubts, and I do believe it is the whispers of the shaitan, and it is the devil. And there are other times where it's just humanity. Do you know what I mean? And there's actual times where it's just facts. And if the fact gets presented that challenges something, you have to accept that. Do you know what I mean? In your heart, and it's nothing to do with the shaitan or the devil. Do you know what I mean? I think sometimes people overdo these things, and like I say, I believe a lot of these religion stuff that we have today goes back to a lot of the ancient spiritual stuff that we had historically when you're talking about the astro-theological understandings of the world. I think when you look at the Quran and you look at many books, I don't want to get too much into it on the camera, but there's a lot of people who take it and they read it and say it has to be interpreted as it is, no other way. Do you know what I mean?
Literal.
And there's a lot of people who say, there are many more interpretations that can be taken from this, that we can look at this, and there's a lot more mysteries.
That's the problem,
in
subjectivity, isn't it?
I mean, it could
That's
be a
one
problem,
of the
or we could
biggest
say it's a good
problems
thing. Do you know what I mean?
for me, this is one of the biggest problems for the aspect of God, or what God allegedly did, in terms of God's supposed to be all-knowing, and yet it chose to give a message very inefficiently. Like it was on purpose,
Vaguely.
trying to,
Leave it
very
open.
vaguely.
Sure, I'm gonna wrap it up here.
Like
I'm
it was
gonna
on
say-
purpose, trying to
I hear you.
confuse people.
I agree. I can understand why you say that, and I agree. But I would say my position that is, like I said, it's the position of understanding. Do you know what I mean? Like if there's a 6 there, I'm gonna see a 6. You're gonna see a 9. Do you know what I mean? So it's a perspective, and it's an understanding. And so I would say, rather than us as human beings getting all angry and worked up and thinking things are subjective or there's too much subjectivism, we should appreciate the beauty there is in subjectivity
But it
and
doesn't have to be.
indifference.
But
I
agree with that.
God could have made the earth perfect, right? But there's also problems with that.
I'm not talking about perfection. I'm not
okay.
talking about perfection. See, I'll accept that, but from your saying, or from people say that God is all powerful and all knowing, God could have decided to make us see it as all 6s.
Yeah, for sure.
Instead of leaving it to interpretation,
For sure.
He could have just told us all.
sure.
Like, as soon as we're born or as soon as we come of a certain age,
Yeah.
it can give us the message individually.
Yeah, for sure.
That's-
If we do go against the message, then we know 100% that there is a God, and then we have no excuse when we do go.
No
and burn
excuse. Like, all I would say is, why is God playing games? Why can't God just be more
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I didn't want to
more
wrap it up, but I
efficient
agree.
in giving
I
the
don't believe-
message?
I wrap it up,
Why
yeah.
does it give a message?
Sorry, we're gonna go to McDonald's, yeah?
That's cool.
All right.
Yeah.
Why does it give us a message inefficiently, and then it requires messengers to come every 1,000 years to irresponsibly give a message to help the rest of the planet.
No, I'm joking. That's a question for Shamsi or Muhammad Hijab or one of those guys. I'm not going to answer that
I don't
one.
think that.
Shamsi,
I
but
don't
I
think
would
that's
say
ever been answered.
I was
because-
exactly, I'm trying to wrap this up because I need to go get my lunch break as well.
I think he's going to say, yeah, Mackie D's as well.
Yeah, I need to get a little juice, man. But
sausage sandwich.
nah, easy. Stop a lot. Never that one. I'm trying this. No.
But go on, yeah, wrap him now.
Yeah, wrap up. Last time to say, but I understand what you're saying. But I think there is a beauty, and I think there's a beauty in humanity and in learning and this lesson on this earth. Do you know what I mean? And on the way this is on
agree.
earth, I don't believe there is exactly how it's going to be in heaven. And I think maybe we'll have some of those answers that you're asking then once we get to heaven. But I think
At the end.
possibly. I mean, who knows at the end? I think that's just the beginning. But anyway, I'll come back to that.
Or in hell while I'm burning.
Possibly, but you'll come to heaven eventually. But anyway, the point is, like I was saying, there's a six there, and there's two different perspectives. In Islam, we believe that Allah made us in different tribes so we would get to know each other, right? And so the belief that I have is that we're supposed to have different perspectives. We're supposed to have different ideas. And the good thing about life is actually when we have conversations and we learn to see it from someone else's perspective, we learn more. And my mum always taught me, the more you learn you don't know. And if you keep keeping an open mind and you keep learning, it's never really just a six. It could be anything. There's several different possibilities. There's so many different ways. And if you keep an open mind about things, rather than getting closed mind and trying to say this is the direct answer, then you might get to know. And that's why I say it made us in different tribes and different peoples in different ways so that we can get to know each other, that we can learn from each other and actually could actually get to where we need to be.
Bust
Not
each other's
where-
heads.
I mean, that's what we're
Get into
doing right now.
arguments,
This is humanity.
rape each other.
But eventually, I believe, we will learn the lessons. But I understand, but I think that's humanity.
How long is God going to make us wait before He allows us to understand the lesson?
I mean, it depends.
No one has the answer to that.
It depends. I think we've learned lessons several times.
10
throughout
more
history.
years.
I think we've learned lessons several times throughout history, then we've lost them, and then we've learned them in several different parts and periods. Life goes through cycles, I believe, like the universe, like humanity.
I agree
Everything's
with that.
moving. Everything's moving all the
I
time.
agree with
so-
that. I agree with all of that kind of stuff. It's just, yeah, I agree with all of that. It's just when people say that it's all powerful and all knowing, it's just that's when it falls for me. But yeah, other than that, I accept what you're saying.
For sure, I agree. Fair enough, cool. That's a wrap.
Peace.
Great wrap, bless.
Nice one.
Content over everything. From now to
Come, man, say it straight. Man, don't listen to BBC. Man, don't listen to ITV.
There are people that tried to walk away and they've jumped on them. There are people that have tried to walk away and the savages have jumped on them. The stinkies have jumped on them.
At the end of the day, if they choose to something on me, if I walk away and they still try and attack me for whatever reason it is,
I don't mind.
I'm still going to walk away. I'm going to do what they tell me to do because they're forcing me into it.
What would you
If
do
you
then?
do what you want to do,
I'm saying-
I'm still going to go back and do what I want to do.
I think